Hey everyone, today we'll be going through Browerbase. They initially created a tool called Stagehand, which was built on top of Playwright. It lets you do some of the deterministic steps while interjecting some non-deterministic steps.
Yeah, I mostly think about it as kind of giving your AI a web browser and making it so that that web browser is a little bit more suited for the AI native use cases.
Browerbase, a company, they raised a 40 million Series B recently, and they also announced their Director AI product. There's Playwright, which is the open source browser automation tool. There's Stagehand on top of that, and Browerbase is the company. Browerbase is the company that does the managed version of Stagehand, and then finally Director AI is a way to basically abstract Browerbase/Stagehand and let a non-technical user create those workflows directly. Okay, so we're gonna start off by we're gonna walk through the landing page, just do a quick review of it, and then dive into some examples of using Browerbase and Stagehand.
And try to answer why you might use this.
I'll be pretty transparent. It's flashy. I like flashy landing pages. If you hover over this run now, it actually does a eased in zoom of the landing page. Two things I really like, the zoom effect and also this randomness. Totally unnecessary, but really nice. Their design language is these building blocks, which I really like. They show you the customers that are using it. They very much are aiming to get the AI native cohort. They call it AI first. So here is the building blocks. So you can just hover, you can actually click one of these and see which building blocks are there. When you share features in a landing page, it's a little less powerful than results.
Yeah.
So clearly they're trying to be what I call like the long tail of use cases, or being a more general platform. And they share, what was web scraping like in the past and how it's changing.
Which I think is reasonable. I do actually really like that their design is not quite the dark mode or the gradient that you see many of the AI companies with today. So this feels nice. It feels like they actually put a lot of thought into design here. The big run now at the very beginning is nice, running a headless button. I don't know if it'll just make you log in right away. But
it gives you an example.
I think it just shows you right away, so that's good. And I do think this is one of these things that seeing is believing for a little bit of it. So getting a quick feel as a developer who wants to see how much code do I need to actually write to get this thing going, that's a great start.
I did want to just try a test and just see if I could break a CAPTCHA directly with Browerbase. So I went and tried that. I
Naturally.
just dumped it in, and the base version does fail, which is interesting, but then they immediately sort of advertise Browerbase advanced stuff.
It's the upsell. You gotta, if you want us to actually take the place of humans for you and skirt around some rules, just give us a little extra cash.
Which is interesting because this advanced version, so you'll see in this example, it's doing some what I'll call non-human-like behaviors. It'll just click a lot of buttons. And if you look into advanced stealth, we did not sign up for it, but it does seem like they emulate human-like behavior to break CAPTCHAs. One of the tasks I did was to see if I could get pricing information on a product on Datadog. So I went ahead and just typed that in. Can you find the pricing information for Datadog's incident response product? There are quite a few products on the website, so I wanted to see if it could navigate. And you'll see, it has thinking traces, which is nice. It has clear deterministic actions. It knows when to take those steps. It takes screenshots, decides when to take an action, move on, and then at the end, just to kind of summarize it, it does answer the question with all the information it has gathered. This is pretty similar to what we've seen with computer use, with operator, and now agent. But obviously with those, you can't actually, specifically with Agent Mode and ChatGPT, you can't quite use that in your own product. So one of the selling points here is you can add this to your own product.
It's the tool for your agent, the building blocks as they had, right?
Correct. Yeah.
I think one of the questions that I guess as a dev I ask myself right away when I start to look at this kind of product is, okay, is there a lot of value add on top of building it yourself? So it's an open source, it's built on an existing open source framework. So why don't we just grab that and, vibe code something quickly to see how hard is it to do? Spoiler alert, it's actually pretty hard to do. Probably worth paying for something because this does not quite have all the niceties that Browerbase does, but let's check it out. What's a use case you actually have for this, right? One use case I could really see a browser being used for, or computer use for any of these things, is reproducing human issues. This is pretty common. Someone goes and files an issue to, or even tells your support people, hey, this is not working on your page anymore. I would love to be able to actually have something that goes, opens up my page, opens up my app page, my home page, or my browser, my website, whatever it is, and tries to reproduce the issue and gets a recording and maybe even write some detail on that. So first, I have this very simple issue that I said, hey, clicking on a story link doesn't quite go where I want it to. And I am going to try to run that. Let's see what happens. I have this pointed at Hacker News right now, pretending that that's the website I have. And it'll try to click on something and it'll, show me what went wrong. Okay, great. This is good. So it said, hey, I actually did hit an issue when I was trying to do that. In this case, it opens up Hacker News, clicked on the link, and then the answer is like, yes, this is basically the repro, right? And I'm actually using Playwright, so I can go and see what did Playwright do. In this case, I clicked on the first link that actually opened up this YouTube walkthrough, which was correct. That's what was being linked for. And now let's actually try something a little bit more like what you were just showing. First, I'm going to try a summarize situation, just to say, hey, go to this website. Let's see what happens. So this one is a natural language 2 steps, and I'll show you in the code base too what's happening. So here, I'm actually using a LLM to be able to generate calls. I have some system prompts that are asking it to generate a plan. So I say, here's what's happening. Here's what I would like for natural language. And then we create a structured plan for things like what are you going to click on, what are you going to do, where are you going to go to, all that kind of thing. So it's a very simple, use the LLM to drive the browser. So in this case, it actually said, hey, the third link, it's all about whispering open source speech-to-text application. Gave me back key points that came from that link. Well, it picked a link.
It did. It's confused. This is my guess. It picked number 2 because of
did.
zero indexing.
It did. It picked number 2. That's okay. We can fix that later. Yeah. But it came back and said, hey, here's what we're going to have. And I can actually, it even clicked in it and went to figure out what was happening there, looked at the GitHub page, pulled all this information back. And this is nice because you can imagine this being a tool that you just give your agent to actually be able to run off and say, hey, I need this information, come back with it.
So it sounds like the agent or the LLM decided the steps and then it decided which Playwright calls to use.
Correct. So these are the steps that were actually generated from natural language. So it turned my natural language into a structured plan. And then it went and ran that plan, which is the video that we have. And then it took the steps that it had, the video it had, and summarize that for me because I asked it to summarize as well. So one of the tools I actually added myself was be able to summarize, make a decision to summarize.
Gotcha.
This. Okay. End result though, didn't quite pick the right one. Yeah. So I'll say, a couple of good points for just getting something out of the box that's already ready is one, this is actually, relatively quick work for me, but it was still a good amount of code just to kind of say, how do I map all this natural language to actions? The model doesn't quite do it itself. We then have to add some other steps on top of that to get things like summarizing that I want, or any other tools that you might want to give the agent. And even then, it was incorrect. So I'd say it almost got there, and you can see a bunch of tools that are really nice to use if you're just using Playwright directly. But it's a good amount of work. So if you can already use something like Director or something like Browerbase to be able to give those tools to an agent so you can focus on the part that matters the most to your business, I can see Browerbase being pretty valuable.
Browerbase uses BrainTrust as their partner for evals, which I think is great because BrainTrust currently is popular amongst a lot of companies. We've tried a couple products where they try to bake in evals and it tends to kind of fall short. Yep. So here's an example of, hey, let's just use a product that is best of breed that actually solves a problem. Where does Browerbase sort of fit in the landscape of things? So looking through the use cases, looking through the history, Browerbase is trying to be a primitive. It's trying to be one of the tools in addition to MCP servers. Some of the big use cases are being able to navigate to older websites, like government websites, to make sure you can scrape information. An agent can still access that through a browser and may not be able to do that through an MCP server or even through an API.
One of the things I think about is whether or not you're going to want a separate browser application like this as a building block long run.
Yeah.
Or if it's just everything's gonna kind of coalesce around giving an agent a computer. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
I think for now this makes a lot of sense because this is a good way to scope the problem and models aren't quite able to pick up a bunch of applications. But I could see something like pig.dev or computer use or any of those other ones that are just offering a computer being used with a browser rather than having to have a separate browser application only.
Yeah. And it's also interesting to see, companies like OpenAI, are they going to make things like agent mode available for you to build on top of?
That's another one.
Or are they going to be that vertical solution that solves it for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think the looming Death Star of OpenAI is always there for anyone who's building an AI application here. And I do think that's one of those, we'll have to see over the next few years, where do people specialize?
Yeah.
And which applications do really well, like they're doing right now in the browser category. And is that so good that it's worth using a separate tool for, even if you could pick up, OpenAI's API for doing computer use or anything like that, or Anthropic's, or if you can pick up, any of the kind of computer tools that people are offering to agents as well.
Their docs are pretty clear. You can chat with their docs directly, and a pattern we're just seeing on most of these sites is that you can just immediately open the docs in your AI chat of choice, copy it, grab the markdown so you can use it in another product, which is a pattern I'm pretty happy with.
I do love this, though I would love if it opened in Cursor, just for me.
Yeah.
That's actually probably where I would start, because I would be like, hey, I want to use this as context to get some work done.
Yeah, but cool. Anything else you want to highlight?
No, that's it. This was fun to play with.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Talk to y'all soon.